Welcome to Nitpicking Nerds, and today we're going to flip the script from our last video.
It's 10 cards we would unban right now.
I'm your host, Joe Cherries.
I'm your host, BZ, and that makes us Nitpicking Nerds, bringing you daily Commander content. If you would like to show your support for the channel, there's only one thing we're going to ask you to do for the entire month, and that's go to TCG Player and use our affiliate link to buy Magic cards the way you would normally buy them, except you're just starting with our link. You spend no extra money, and you support the channel, and we're looking to meet this special goal for TCG Player, and if we do, guess what? Top 100 blue cards coming at you in May.
Yeah, and that's going to be super awesome. Please use that link. We would appreciate it. We are also now sponsored by Moxfield.com, the best deck building website in the whole entire multiverse. Stay tuned for more. All right, so today we are doing 10 cards we would unban right now. Now, I want to say my position on bans has changed over the years to and fro. And my current position is I am all in on I just think we shouldn't have a ban list. In Commander, I think that's the best way to go about it. Currently, that's how I view it, and I think we shouldn't. But under what we have right now and the rules and the restrictions, what would I unban is what this video is.
Yeah, people were talking about but what cards would you unban? And it's like, well, that's a good question. What cards on the ban list would we unban? So these 10 unbannings aren't going to 100% line up with our 10 bannings, just because when you're banning cards, well, we're obviously under the assumption that, hey, we need to have a little bit more of a larger ban list. And then when we're unbanning cards, it's like, well, what cards can we move off? What can we have a smaller ban list?
Yeah, actually, I think a perfect little thing to look at is, yeah, and for example, there are cards on my list where it's like, because Soul Ring and Mana Crypt are illegal, I would unban these cards. Right. But if Soul Ring and Mana Crypt are banned, I wouldn't unban these cards. So what we're doing is we're starting from zero with both of our lists. We're starting as, we can only change one side of the list. How do you change it?
Yes, that's important. So don't smash them together. It's just they're really two different videos.
They are completely different videos. That is super important here. So let's hop right into it. My first one I think is easy. I don't think this character should have ever been banned, and it's the most recent ban in Commander. Yes, it is. It is Golos, Tireless Pilgrim. He is 5 mana, comes in, searches for a land, pay Wooburg in 3, top 3 cards you can play for free. This card is good. Now, don't get me wrong. It is a good commander. It is a great commander. It was the best Wooburg commander we had by about a mile. It's really good, but I don't think it's nearly good enough to warrant a ban. And I think the argument that this is like, well, if you're playing 5 colors, you're just going to play this no matter what. Well, that was also cool, because when you banned Golos, you didn't ban a singular deck that everyone was just playing. You banned thousands of different decks that everybody was playing. Everyone was using Golos. Yes, sure. That's fine. Everyone's using Golos in the command zone. The decks were never the same. There were the generic good Golos decks. Those existed where it's like, hey, I go to EDH deck, I build the best Golos deck, and it's insane. It's a monster deck, and those exist. And those were fine, and maybe even annoying, because some commanders are annoying. But you banned 900 other decks that were cool, unique, and fun.
You talk about one of the big things with Commander, according to the rules committee anyway, which we have to go by, is they want people to have connections with their decks, and they don't really want to disrupt that. And that's part of the reason the ban list they want to remain so small, is because they want players to be able to interact with as many cool things as they can handle. I don't, from a purely power standpoint, Golos is nowhere near remotely good enough for me personally to ever even consider banning. So the one thing that I could potentially agree with is the fact that it was so homogenized. But if you look at a Golos deck, there aren't homogenized Golos. It's not like everyone's playing Golos X. When you ban Golos, you killed the Maze's End deck. That was the best commander for that. You killed the World Tree God tribal deck. Mono black Devotion, 5-color, playing all the cool hybrid cards. These decks weren't doing anything. They were just random janky decks. There was 1,000 like them. All of them relied a little bit on Golos, which actually did tie the strategy together. It wasn't really just good stuff. And now those decks have no home, or they're worse off, and I miss Golos. What was the big deal? I don't get it.
I couldn't agree with you more. I don't feel like Golos was an offender in any way. Being the most played commander is not inherently a problem ever. There will always, every single time you make it, every single time commander exists, no matter how you slice and dice it or restart the format, there's going to be a most powerful, best commander. And there has to be a most powerful and best commander 5-color one. I just didn't see the problem with this card whatsoever.
He wasn't even the most powerful or the best 5-color commander.
Very true.
But here we are. And I will add, if we're talking about homogenization, how do you get to banning Golos before you get to banning Command Tower, where it's like literally every single deck can play that card with no detriment? So I that would be one of my first targets for like getting rid of homogenization in the format. That, Soul Ring, all these types of things, where they're in like 90% of decks at all, versus Golos is what percentage of 5-color commanders specifically? Pretty weird.
Yeah, I literally could not agree with what you're saying anymore. You will see one of our problems with the ban list through this whole discussion we're about to have is inconsistency. It doesn't feel like the command list or the ban list for Commander follows any trackable rules that you can tell. And if we were sitting here right now and Hull Breacher wasn't banned, I wouldn't be surprised. And that shouldn't be true, because if we have metrics and we are given metrics, which we should be as the people who are playing the format by the leaders of the format, we should understand why a card is going to get banned. But we really don't.
I think one of the other things you want to look for when you have a set list of parameters and things to watch out for and things that are generally red flags for what a card is doing to the format or a game, you should probably be able to predict with some consistency like what the bannings or unbannings might be. And for the past 7, I have had no idea, where it's like, oh, they unbanned Painter Servant. They banned Iona. Oh, they banned Paradox Engine. Oh, they banned Hull Preacher. They unbanned Worldfire. They banned Golos. I've never once.
Exactly. And it feels like we're on the outside looking in of this group that they make decisions seemingly at random from the perspective of the player who doesn't know what's going on, because I feel that way every time. I can never predict the ban. I never have any clue what's going to get banned or unbanned. Even Sheldon writes articles and I see it and it's he wrote about not liking Turgid. It's I have no clue if that's going to get banned or unbanned. It doesn't matter what his articles say because they don't seem to correlate with what's going on.
And we're not saying the rules committee needs to be disbanded or anything. We're just saying we disagree with them on some of the stuff about.
I think they need to be more transparent.
Which is completely fine. I mean, we're allowed to disagree. This is our video here. Then we got 9 more cards that, hey, we would unban. Do they have to be unbanned? Nope, but this is what we would do.
Yeah.
We're going to my one next because we're kind of doing 5 each here. I think this one is a pretty. I think this one might be a shoo-in for most unbannable card on the list. It's a 5-mana artifact, has no text right away. You have to then, once it comes out, you have to pay X and exile a card from your hand that's an instant or sorcery under Panoptic Mirror. You don't cast it, you just suspend it there. It's just stuck there. Then, on your upkeep, you get to cast one of those cards that are imprinted for free. Now, I have to imagine the reason this is banned is because with Time Warp, if you spend 10 mana, 2 for 1 yourself, and wait an entire turn, you will get infinite turns if also no one can interact with it at all. I'm really confused on this one because this is not a powerful card. And if you want to say that the bar for bannings is 2-card win the game combo that requires an entire turn to untap, where are the other 75 bans that are better than this?
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more on that. There's just what is making this the ban?
Why is this the one? This card is terrible to me.
Why is this the one? If Tooth and Nail's in this format where Tooth and Nail is 9 mana, win the game on the spot. It just is. You don't have to wait a full turn cycle. It is just 9 mana, win the game on the spot if you do not get interacted with. Mm-hmm. That card is way better than Panoptic Mirror. It's not even remotely close. Panoptic Mirror can be an annoying card, and I think the only thing I can think of for the idea of not banning this is more along the lines of, hey, it's non-deterministic, but it kind of isn't, because if they can't stop it, you're going to win. But you have to just keep taking turns over and over again, and if a player doesn't want to just say you win, then you're stuck in this position.
Yeah, because you don't win. You don't win. You get to play your entire deck, and players are allowed to not scoop to that because they're not dead to that at all. Really, really weird. So it's annoying, but it doesn't crack the top 100 best combos. It doesn't crack the top 100 most annoying combos or cards. This is a weird one to me. If I could make the switch, maybe a card that feels similar to this and is way worse for the format, I think is Time Sifter. That card is garbo.
Well, think about Panoptic Mirror sitting here it's just like we were talking about before. It's one I don't even necessarily disagree with banning. But we go back to what's going on with this ban list, and I come to cards along the lines of, like I said, Tooth and Nail, Protein Hulk are the ones that come to my mind right away.
Thassa's Oracle.
Thassa's Oracle that are in this format legal and doing insane things. And then I have to go, well, if those cards aren't banned, those kind of cards aren't banned, there's no chance you should ban Panoptic Mirror.
You know what this feels like to me? It feels like Felidar Sovereign. That's 6 mana. I start at 40. So I'm going to win the game if I untap. It's just a creature. It's one card. What's the difference between this and that?
I don't know.
I don't know either. But anyway, let's go to the next one. What you got? What's your next card?
My next card
These are going to go faster now, I think.
Yeah, a little bit. This is Gifts Ungiven. It's 4 mana, search for 4 cards with different names. An opponent chooses and puts 2 of them in the graveyard, and the other 2 go to your hand. Now, I want to say this card is good. This card would be strong in Commander, and it would be maybe even a staple of blue decks.
It'd be really good.
It'd be really good. There's no doubt about that. But the card, Intuition, sticks around in this format.
What does that do?
Well, it searches for 3 cards. They don't have to have different names, but this is Commander, so they're all going to have different names. 2 go in your graveyard, 1 go to your hand. I don't really see enough of a difference between these cards to warrant banning Gifts and not Intuition. It feels like you really have to nitpick for a reason. I think the reason is Gifts was seeing too much play.
Right. It saw more play, I guess, where like you would ban Intuition, but you don't because not enough people play it. But at what point do enough people play it? Because now it's seeing more play because Gifts is banned. I don't know. I would either ban both of them or unban both of them. And in this world, I think we can unban both of them pretty safely. It's also kind of like it falls into the realm of like Mystical Tutor and all that stuff where it gets policed a little bit and people play less of it because it's not very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the card is super good, and I do like this card. And the thing I like about Gifts Ungiven is, if you want to go to an argument made by the Rules Committee, Tooth and Nail. Don't ban Tooth and Nail because you don't have to win with it.
Right, but the same is true here.
The same is very true for Gifts Ungiven. You can just go get fun cards you want to play. I'll get my 4 of my big dummies, and you can choose which big dummies I get in my hands.
Go get 4 flashback cards and go full value.
Exactly. You can do any cool amount of things with this card. And most of it's not winning, though you can do potentially game-winning things, but I don't even know what they are.
Right. There's always the classic, like, get 2 cards, they both have to go to the graveyard. One of them's on burial rights. I don't know. It's not like reanimating Protein Hulk with that doesn't feel like cheating. That's just Protein Hulk being good.
This is that you spent more mana on Protein Hulk than it actually cost.
Right. So we can go on from Gifts Ungiven, but I think ban Intuition or unban Gifts. We don't gel super well with the only keep it because it's not being played enough at the moment.
I think that is absolutely is just not a good rule at all. It's not a good rule of thumb. It makes me think, well, let's just ban nothing. And let's let the players decide what to ban.
I'm not totally against that, although you said you were more in favor of no ban list. I am fine with either, but I am in more in favor of a larger ban list. So
what I like about no ban list, so I can just say right now, what I like about no ban list, and this will just be a quick note, is that it cannot be messed up. There can't be a mistake. The rule is you have and everything is unbanned. Period.
Regulate it.
That's it. You make the exceptions. Anti cards, Shahrazad, dexterity cards. Boom, we're done. There's nothing else besides that.
Right. I mean, I could definitely. I would like to try that format.
Yeah,
because it would be the same as right now.
Yeah, it would be.
All right. So let's go to my next one. It's another win out of nowhere card. It's Coalition Victory. So this is like 8 mana, I believe. And if you control a creature of each color and a basic land of each type, you win the game. But if you don't, it doesn't do anything. There's actually no text on the card besides that. So if they interact with your creature or one of your lands or something, you don't win, and the spell just kind of goes to the graveyard. I'm not 100% sure why this one is banned over, I'm not going to repeat myself, the other cards that are better instant wins more of the time in more decks. This feels very easy to interact with. It is out of nowhere, so I could see if you wanted to ban all of them. This one I just don't think is that big of an offender, so, you can play Naked Dryad Boy, and, let's say, your commander, right? That's all colors. So that's like a 3-card victory. I don't really have to get into how many 3-card victories there are.
There's a million, like you're saying, and yeah, I'm on the same exact page as you with this one, where it's just like, again, if the other stuff's allowed, then I don't know why this isn't allowed. This feels fine, and actually, I don't like this card, and I would ban it, but I would ban a million other cards along with it. And if we're going with consistency, Coalition Victory should absolutely be unbanned alongside your Tooth and Nails and alongside your Expropriates.
Right. I mean, Worldfire ends more games than this, right? I mean,
absolutely.
That is guaranteed game
out of nowhere.
Right. So let's go to your next one, which I don't necessarily 100% agree with, but I think it's really interesting.
But it is Primeval Titan. It is a 6-mana 6/6. Enters the battlefield, search for 2 lands, put them on the battlefield tapped. Then, when it attacks, you do the same exact thing. It's got Trample also. This card's really good. Don't get me wrong. I am never confusing it, and I'm never saying that Primeval Titan doesn't have any reason for being banned, because I understand some of the reasoning behind it. How I feel about it is, I don't know what this card is doing or where this card is seeing play. That is the problematic thing. Like, what takes Primeval Titan to a point of, like, unfun? I'm like, I played games with, like, Sylvan Primordial. That card, I think, is miserable.
That one is, like, whew.
That is 7 mana, just 4 for 1 every time. You can easy to flicker, easy to abuse, all that. I mean, and Primeval Titan's all that, but it's just advancing your
Except it's not a 4 for 1.
It's just advancing your lands. And this is a card that I would easily keep banned if we have a stricter ban list.
Under certain, where like you set a rule and you say these cards are banned, full stop. It's like, I don't know what cards you're saying. What category does this fall under? I don't know.
Exactly. What is the category of Primeval Titan? Like,
just too good. I mean, I know games. I think they may have cited games revolving around this, where it's like everybody wants a prime time. Everybody will get a prime time. That's not that bad. I mean, maybe the tutoring is too much, but crop rotation is just a better card than this, right?
Yeah, I think crop rotation is a better card overall than Primeval Titan. Primeval Titan will be splashier. It will seemingly have more of an effect overall. But yeah, I think that crop rotation is on average a better card for a deck that wants to search out a land.
Yeah, so not sure where I stand on this one. I could see it being unbanned. It doesn't, maybe we haven't played against it enough, but I played enough Magic where I can picture a Prime Titan in play.
Yeah, exactly. I'm fine. I could see being on either side of the fence with this one, but I think under the current rules, I think it's.
I'd like to try it. Let's get to the next thing I would unban, and that's Moxfield.com. I don't know what they were doing when they banned Moxfield. I think it was because their organization tools are too good to the point where they're like, we can't allow everybody to have access and build their decks so easily. But I would easily unban it in a heartbeat. They have a website. And if you go there, you can build your own decks, and I would totally recommend it.
So Moxfield is a website for deck building. It is literally our favorite. It's not even remotely close, and we couldn't be happier to be finally sponsored by Moxfield.com. They have so many awesome tools, and we'll get into a couple of this video. And guess what? They're sponsoring us. We're gonna be doing this for more videos. One of my favorite tools they have that I use the most are the tags. They have 2 versions of tags. You can use the regular tags for just a deck, and then like label what's in the deck. Call this is my card draw. This is my ramp. This is my anything else. This is my +1/+1 counters synergies.
These are my banned cards that I'm playing with Rule 0.
Yeah, and on top of having a regular tags, which a lot of like some sites have, they have global tags, which I think are amazing. You put a tag to a card like this is card draw. Skull Clamp is card draw. Now, Skull Clamp will be card draw in every single deck you put it into the future.
Yes.
It is absolutely amazing. Seriously, Moxfield.com, absolutely the go-to website for deck building. If you're using anything else, stop and use Moxfield. No!
You're crazy.
You're crazy. Now, what are you going to ban now?
My actual number 3 is Biorhythm. It's 1,000 mana, and it says each player's life total becomes equal to the number of creatures they control. It's another one of those, out of nowhere, like game's over, or the game's almost over. I think with the I don't really have a problem with this card, okay? And I think this card could be banned and I wouldn't care, or unbanned and I wouldn't care. So in that case, I think it's probably better to lean on the side of unbanned and I wouldn't care. Especially since, if Worldfire is running around, okay, I don't really like that card. I wouldn't play against it a ton, but if people want to play with it, sure. And this feels like a worse Magic card, like every time, because Worldfire, assuming it resolves, which we have to because everything dies through a counterspell, ends the game 100%. The game is over. The game as you knew it is not happening. Go home, start another game. We're all at one. Whoever draws a creature and plays it first wins. Biorhythm is like, if nobody has creatures, the game's a draw. Pretty weird, but we do have Divine Intervention in the format. Also makes things a draw. If players have a bunch of creatures, it doesn't do that much. If you have the most creatures, and they have very few, you can play it, set your life to 10, set their lives to 3 each, and then you can kill them. And it's kind of like this, hey, build around, slam dunk, you can win the game in the late game or in the mid game.
So my thought in the patterns that would be incredibly unfun with this is this card is the 2-card combo aspect of this card. It's going to be a pass, have a ton of mana open, evacuate, Cyclonic Rift,
something like that.
Anything along those lines. You play any of those, and then you untap and you just go maybe a creep, maybe a 1-drop Biorhythm, or you just go Biorhythm.
Right.
I think those are the unfun play patterns, and that's why I could see it being banned. But again, yeah, we can't go back to this ball enough where it's inconsistency that seems to drive why we might ban or unban things, because we simply want this to be consistent. And with the things that are in the format, again, I will go back to Tooth and Nail Wow every single time. This is 9 mana, win the game. It's so simple. Biorhythm doesn't have to be 8 mana, win the game. In fact, it isn't a lot of the time. So I don't know what the argument, I don't feel like I understand the argument well enough to leave Biorhythm banned while leaving Tooth and Nail and Progeno, again, in the driver's seat of Commander.
I think in this world, I would just unban it.
Yeah,
you got
I
the other
agree.
stuff running around. Let's just unban it. How about your next one, which is the hottest take we have?
That's such a hot take. It's Moxen, and Moxen are 0 mana artifacts that tap for a color. Everyone's seen the Moxen before. I understand so if price is truly a factor for bans,
Which, yes, yeah, it is kind of though, but it's not. I would say it's an argument for bans, but in the opposite way to where I think these should be legal.
if your argument is accessibility for a format that is supposed to be pretty dang accessible, then I understand this because you're looking, hey, those are some of the least accessible cards
Ever.
in the entire Magic the Gathering world. Like,
Yeah.
they literally, you cannot get these cards. They are ultra super rare, and we don't want players to be paying to win. If you can spend $5,000 and get a better card than anyone else, sure, I can see that. But I don't think that's the argument. In fact, when these were originally banned, it was that they didn't want this to be Legacy Light at the time.
Which is fair.
Which is fair, but we're not there anymore.
No.
That sentiment is gone. In fact, they're not even in Legacy. They're in Vintage or Vintage Light, whichever it was. But it's like, this isn't Vintage Light. It doesn't feel like it is at all.
I think we've pretty well differentiated the entire format. This is an interesting one because I don't know if you can't really look at it and you say, if Moxen were legal, it would like destroy the format. It's like, no, it's pretty much the same thing as if Gaia's Cradle were legal, which it is. Sarah's Sanctum, Tabernacle of Pendrevale, some of the best cards in the format that you just don't see because they're so unaccessible that nobody can get them. And I think that is a reason that I would ban them. But I think if we're going to go by the ban list we're on, I think we could just unban them because they might even double. They might all go to like $10,000. But as far as I can tell, inaccessibility due to price is just not a factor. I think they look at how much play does a card see. If a card, I know this is true, if a card is miserable but no one's playing it, then they won't ban it. It has to be miserable and they play it. I don't even think these cards are, they're let's just say they're miserable, whatever. Let's round them up to miserable. But no one's going to play them. They're going to be like less than 1% of every deck.
Yeah, but then we fall, like, as soon as you say Moxen are miserable, I fall back to the why is Mana Crypt in this format? Why is Sowing in this format? What is going on? Because those are
they're both better than Moxen, right?
I think they're extremely close in the Commander format. Whether a Moxen or Soul Ring and a Mana Crypt are better. I don't need to pick. It doesn't matter. It literally does not matter which one is better. But I just don't. I fall to why. Why? If Moxen are allowed, or if Soul Ring is allowed in Commander, then I absolutely think Moxen should be allowed in Commander. I will say this. My favorite argument of what people said is this really makes you want to play more colors because you're really rewarded with an extra Moxen. Each color is a huge reward.
Yeah.
But that's already a reward for Commander. Every color gives you access to 20% more spells.
Commander's also not about maxing EV and making the best deck. It's just about having fun.
Exactly.
Expressing yourself through deck building and playing some goofy stuff. I think Moxen could be unbanned under the current rules, and they wouldn't violate anything the rules committee has said to unban the Moxen. I don't think. I mean, I think it's like a ridiculous move. It's crazy. I think it could be justified, which is maybe more of a problem with the actual rules and not what we're like the fact that you can unban them.
Yeah, I mean, I think looking at it right now, I do think like, hey, a 3-color deck getting 3 Moxen versus
that's just nuts. It's literally ridiculous. I don't want these cards in the format, but I think under the current ban list requirements, I think you could unban them, which is weird.
Easily, which. Yeah, I agree with you completely. Where it's like I don't necessarily want this in the format, but I want Soul Ring and Mana Crypt just as little in my format.
Well, it just feels like though, and if you hear what I'm saying, it feels like you could read the entire ban list thing and then say, yeah, we can unban these.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to my next one. It's Braids, Cabal Minion. This card is stupid. It's 4 mana, and everybody sacks something on their upkeep. So it's going to come down kind of early, depending on if you have fast mana in the format or not. I guess this one has fast mana, so it's coming down super early, potentially. And then it's going to make people sacrifice stuff. It's like this stacks piece, but it is a creature, but it is their commander. So while it can be interacted with somewhat easily, it will come back eventually. And it does affect you last. So someone's getting kind of screwed on this. And I think this card falls into the giant bucket of cards that just kind of rule zero themselves right on out of the format. And it's basically like they were never legal anyway. So if they were legal, I don't think they would see play enough to then justify a ban, which is I think what we're looking for is, hey, a card is miserable enough. We're going to ban it, like Hull Breacher. That's not a fun card. Tons of people are playing it because it's really good. Ban it. Now, if Braids met that criteria, which I don't know, that was a long time ago. I don't even know if it did or if there was different criteria. But if we brought it back and it did meet that criteria, and get it at the axe again. But I think I would let this card loose and see what happens, because I don't think it would be anything.
Yeah, this one I would just leave banned under almost any ban list. This is one of the most miserable cards ever, and like the more cool, unique, and fun stuff we keep getting, the like more ways is to cheat and play. Like Jewel Lotus made this card go from the most. This is the if Jewel Lotus. That's all you need in your opening hand, and you're playing against turn 1 Braids. And that's not beatable, because that is the stupidest thing ever, the most miserable thing that could ever happen. And, like, I just think this card is absolutely miserable. And I am so fine with keeping this on the ban list. Though, I like I said, I'm in support of a full no ban list where Braids, let Braids loose on the format and let people talk to their friends about it. It's like, Turgid, I think, is one of the least fun commanders in the format. I think it's miserable. And our friend was playing it, and guess what? Because we used we talked, he's not playing Turgid. He now plays Tiny Bones. And that's so much better for us.
All right, what's your last one?
My very last one is Paradox Engine. This card requires a ton of setup to actually do what it needs to do. Now, there is the argument that, the long turns could be very annoying. And that if that is the only reason, I'm willing to I would say this could be a card left banned, because it does lead to incredibly long,
non-deterministic, let me see if I have it.
Yeah, and that is annoying. But I could also see this card being unbanned. This is one where I kind of sit on the fence, and I think I put it here for more of a discussion rather than I would unban this right now. Is that annoying enough? I didn't play against Paradox Engine enough, and I'll be completely honest. Paradox Engine seems annoying on the surface.
You didn't play? Oh, man, I played this thing so much.
You played it a little bit in a janky deck.
I had it in Elves, I had it in this, and I had it in somewhere else too, and I missed it when it was gone. You can't replace this card.
Yeah.
I think I might leave this one banned, because I noticed after cutting it, it's like, what's the replacement for this? And there isn't really one. There's Intruder Alarm.
Yeah, and so when I think of a replacement for this, I think of the closest thing we're doing is Seedborn Muse with Flash, and that's a 2-card setup.
Kind of.
To do something
more
similar.
I think Intruder Alarm is the closest, because it's just my turn is going to take forever. I have all these mana dorks. I'm untapping. Everything I do gives me 5 more mana, and then I'm going to do more things with it.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe this one should just stay banned. I just thought it's
an interesting discussion, because I don't know. Maybe the CEDH people would know better than us.
Yeah, exactly. We obviously don't want to be wasting players' times. And if this is a card that's wasting players' times, then I don't want to see it. But I feel like there's other cards in this format wasting a lot of people's times. Time Warps, Time Stretch, Expropriate. These are taking.
I thought you were going to say Sensei's Divining Top.
Sensei's Divining Top. All these cards are taking up insane amounts of time.
What do you think the total amount of time of all Magic players spent resolving the first ability of Sensei's Divining Top, where you look at the top 3? How much time do you think has been taken doing that? Millions of years, right?
Millions of years.
It's got to be millions of years.
I just shortcut now. I look at my top, I look at my top 3, and I just do it, and then I wait until the end step, and then if something changed, I change it.
I appreciate that shortcut. If you haven't tried that one, that's a good shortcut. It's just look at it throughout the turn. You only need 1 mana to do it. So spend your mana, and then say, I'm going to order these however I want.
Yeah, exactly. And if something changes on BZ's end step, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm actually going to change a couple.
You do it all the time, and it's probably secretly saves us 2 minutes per game.
I don't say it because
it doesn't matter. Who cares?
I literally never say it. I would say it if I was in a play group of randoms.
Right.
But I'm not. I'm with my friends. I just do it because I know it's going to save time. It's not like a card I play a lot. I have it in 1 deck currently. But when I'm playing it, I know how long the card takes.
Yep. Let's get to my last one, which is probably my most controversial one, I think. I think I would definitely unban Aereo Soratami Ascendant. This is not a fun card by any means. I don't think it is. Play 4 spells after you play this 2-mana thing, and it flips into an enchantment that counters the first spell cast each turn by your opponents. That's bleh. Makes me want to throw up in my mouth. However, a lot of cards in Commander make me want to throw up in my mouth. I don't play against them ever. I don't play against Winter Orb. I don't play against Static Orb. I don't play against Blood Moon. This falls into that category for me, same as Braids, although I think this card might be a little bit better. But I question what play group, for this one, I question what play group you're in where on turn 2, you're playing this 2-drop commander and 4 spells, then that play group can't handle this card, right? Where there's not enough interaction or the competition level isn't high enough. That just sounds like you're pub stomping, or you're playing a way too strong deck at the table where you're like, all right, turn 3, let's play Aereo, Soul Ring, Signet, Gitaxian Probe, Ponder, flip it. And everyone else is like, yep, that's cool. And then they lose somehow. I feel like this is kind of a rule 0, doesn't get played much, kicks itself out of the format type deal, or it's like a high power thing. Maybe it's super annoying there, although we know EDH isn't really designed for the higher power anyway. I would try this on Unban. Maybe it would be more experimental, loosey-goosey with stuff. It's like, hey, we left Aereo in the format for a month, and it's in 25,000 decks, so we're just going to kick it out.
Yeah, this card is obviously miserable, and I don't think I would unban it because, like, it comes down to one thing. This is something that people are proud of and brag about, and it like mind boggles me. It's like, I built this deck to be miserable. It's like, huh? It is. People say it all.
They really are. They're like,
make
your friend. You even see like videos like make your friends suffer or make your friends hate you or lose your friends, and it's like, huh? What format is this?
Exactly. This is the fun format where you play with your friends and you have a good time. And that's like why cards like Braids and Aereo, I feel like, have to be banned, because people are going to build these decks just to make their friends miserable. It's like,
that feels more like a social awareness issue to me.
Yeah.
We do have a lot of cards that are just as miserable as these that are legal, and we don't see them. I just think they fall into that category of like, it's not a must play. It's kind of a rule zero thing. The more we keep looking at this and unbanning these cards, now we're like, if we unban these 10 or these 15, I guess 14, then we look at the ban list. It's a lot smaller of a ban list. I might be then more willing to just go, screw it. Let's just unban everything and let people do what they want.
So some final notes at the end here. It's one of my biggest issues is that I don't like I think that where the ban list is now is a bad place. Personally, I think it lies somewhere in between policing the format
on the fence.
It lies on the fence, like in between actually policing the format and keeping everything that we think will be harmful out, and the opposite side of just
full self-regulation.
Full self-regulation, and I think that one of those sides should be picked. And like. And it's completely fair to go either way. I am not going to argue if you go self-regulation, no bans except for dexterity cards and ante. And then I'm fine with the other side of we're going to ban maybe 100 cards and actually police the format to things that we don't think are fun. And yes, we're going to use our subjective opinion, because subjective opinion is all we really have to go on. We can't make, like, you set rules, you set standards, you make those rules and standards obvious, and you follow them to a T, and you say, when something meets these rules and standards, we will ban it. Get it out of here. And I like that side too. I don't like where it sits. I don't like this middle ground that still has signpost bans, which I think are absolutely useless in a format that is so large now.
I think if you're on the fence, if you lean towards the no ban list, that helps. That really helps the groups of friends who know each other and play all the time. And I think why I would be in favor of the, let's say, 100 card larger ban list was because it protects the more common type of game, I would assume, which is strangers playing webcam, spell table, playing at the LGS, protecting, just making sure that even when you're against randos, it almost eliminates a lot of the questions of, hey, what are we doing? Like, it kind of like cuts the rule zero conversation in half for me, where it's like, are you playing cards that destroy the game? No, because I can't.
Yeah, I mean, but there's also, I think that it would lead to also more people discussing and being like, hey, these are cards that we don't play against. Like, we would make a video, like, if there is we remove the ban list completely.
We would like maybe offer our suggestions of like, hey, these cards don't facilitate the best of games.
Exactly. These are cards that make for bad games. And we would just talk about that. And that would be something that would be discussed within the community because there's no bans. It's like that becomes now a huge topic of conversation. And everyone, you're going to see every Commander channel talking about it. It wouldn't just be us. It would be the Command Zone. It would be every other, it'd be the Professor. Every YouTube channel would just be talking about it because it'd be such an important part of the format.
I think this is so deep that we could just save it for another video and say, hey, under the current ban list guidelines, I think these cards could be unbanned. I don't think it would be too crazy for the format, except I might slide a little and disagree on Moxon just because I think while they could be unbanned under the current rules, I would never do that. I think it's a little crazy.
Okay, yeah, that's completely fair. I mean, hot take. But that is our video. Special shout-outs to every single one of our patrons. Love you all as much as we can without making you uncomfortable. Thank you all for this direct support and giving us money.
Yeah, this is a weird one. I like diving into the thought experiment types. If you're the type to get mad and upset in the comments, maybe just don't do that this time. This is more of a thought, loosey-goosey, like, hey, let's see what would happen.
I have a tidbit.
Think these cards could go? Yeah, they think it could come back into the format. So, TCG player, buy the same cards you were going to buy anyway with the link. Gives us support without you spending extra money, and we're looking to meet an extra goal. So if you help, if you got a purchase plan for 2 weeks from now, make sure you do it in this month. 6 weeks from now, make sure you do it in this month. Get that stuff going. Get ready to buy those precons. Get ready to buy those Duke of Penna cards. We'd really appreciate it. And also, the Dragon Shield link. Go buy the best sleeves in the multiverse.
Good sleeves.
Cards. No. Deck boxes, yes. Playmats, yes. Go buy them, and we get a kickback on the order.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's very, very awesome. Also, make sure to check out our new sponsor, Moxfield.com. It's Moxfield.com, which is the best deck building website. I mean it. It's awesome.
Ever.
It's what I use, and I haven't. We were using other stuff, and this is now just It is head and shoulders above every other one, constantly improving, constantly getting better. We're super excited.
They really are still getting better. It's crazy. But what was your tidbit?
Okay. The number of, like, when we did our These Are the Cards We Were Banned video, the number of comments that are, this just sounds like whining. It's like, I don't know what you think you're saying. I don't know why you think that comment is necessary. You are not facilitating conversation. You are not helping conversation. You are not discussing things. You are simply being a jerk.
This is a discussion-based video. We're not claiming anyone's opinions are objectively wrong or right. We're saying, hey, we disagree with the rules committee on this stuff. Hey, we're looking at the rules list under what they have. I think these cards could come off. I think eventually we could get these cards back into the format under these rules. There's a difference between constructive feedback and just throwing insults at somebody, and obviously, let's try to be adults and do the first one, the constructive one.
I'm willing to have, I will respond to comments, and I will obviously have a conversation with someone who disagrees with me, especially...
It's fun to talk about.
Especially when they make points on the opposite side, and we can kind of meet and talk in the middle.
Right.
But that's not what's going on. These comments are just like, you lost to these cards. That is my least favorite comment. It's like, what a stupid comment.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sheldon Menery must be just like rolling his eyes on the back of his head every time.
It's like you lost to this card. That's why you banned it. It's like, that's not why I don't want to ban it.
And we're not banning it.
And we're not banning it. It's like, it's all, the reason we talk and we bring things up is because we think cards, like when we were talking about bans specifically, we were talking about cards that didn't facilitate fun play patterns.
Right.
Cards that were just miserable.
Violated some of the rules that we have from the rules committee on why cards should be banned.
Exactly. And that's how we felt about them. And like, again, we weren't forcing anything or saying, but it's just like, you guys are whiny babies. It's like, you're so smart and clever because you don't want me to touch your cards. You don't want me to take it away, even though I have no power. All right.
Joe's in a mood today.
Peace out, Drive Scouts.